Chapter 4. The Sirius Factor. Blazing is the star that cometh forth at harvest time, shining forth amid the host of stars. In the darkness of the night, the star whose name men call Orion's dog. Brightest of all he be, yet for an evil sign is he set, and bringeth much fever upon hapless men. The Iliad. The realm of Sirius was one of the first to be explored by the curious consciousness that passed through the prism of Lyra and fragmented from the founders. Sirius represented a very important symbol for the entire galactic family, that of the Triad. Though it has not been scientifically validated by most astronomers, Sirius is a trinary star group. Symbolically, this represents the temple, two polarities at the base of the triangle, and the joining or integrating of the polarities at the apex. It reflects the basic foundation of the galactic family's desire, to once again unify through the merging of polarity. After the infusion, many consciousness who chose to remain non-physical attracted themselves to the realm of Sirius. Here they began laying the physical as well as the non-physical groundwork for the vital role Sirius was to play in the unfolding drama. They were to become some of the earliest genetic and etheric engineers following in the footsteps of the founders. Anticipating what was to come, these non-physical Sirians began forming, through the transmutation of energy into matter, a third-density world that would eventually be able to support physical life. They also created more vibrationally focused realms for the consciousness that would choose to exist there in the non-physical state. Thus, because of their ability to create realms suitable for all manifestation of consciousness, they became known as the Elders of Sirius. During the Lyran and Vegan conflicts, representatives from both polarities inhabited the Sirius realm with the desire to integrate there. The Elders of Sirius prepared for an influx of both positive and negative energy. They were quite aware of the scenario that needed to occur. The Vegans who chose to inhabit the Sirius realm decided to incarnate physically within a third-density reality. Culturally, they were highly polarized in the masculine, and their philosophy was one of domination, which was becoming more difficult to maintain in fourth density. They felt that they must dominate their environment and control their evolution. According to them, this would allow them a mastership of their realm, and from that point their evolution would then progress at an accelerated pace. From this desire, the Vegans began plans for the colonization of the planet orbiting one of the Sirius suns. If they were to maintain their philosophic orientation of domination, the natural polarization inherent in this philosophy could only be perpetuated in a third-density existence. They were to be tightly focused in the physical, creating a veil of illusion and forgetfulness even more dense than presently on planet Earth. They were so sure of their own abilities and so unaware of the lure of third-density separation that they zealously began speeding up the evolutionary process of the primate-like species developing on the world they had chosen. As soon as the DNA of the indigenous species matched their desire, they began incarnating. Almost immediately, these new Sirians lost their memory connection with Vega. The veil was too dense. Their desire to create forgetfulness was so strong that they remembered nothing of their origin. They did not dream. They did not meditate. They did not pursue creative activities except to maintain their structure of domination. When their zealousness translated into physical reality, it created a culture driven by the desire for domination over each other and the universe around them. As this negative Sirian planet was developing, a group from Lyra decided to venture outward into the Sirius system. These beings chose to remain in the non-physical realm. Their orientation was polarized toward the idea of service to others. They were particularly interested in the physical healing of those in pain. The combination of the negative Sirians, who denied their spiritual self, and the positive, non-physical Sirians, originally from Lyra, who felt it was their duty to heal all those in pain, created a dynamic of tension that echoed throughout the Sirius system and beyond. The saga began. The positives began bombarding the negatives with love and healing energy on the subconscious and unconscious levels. Because the negatives were so tightly focused, this created psychological pain for them. The more the negatives resisted, the more the positives sent healing energy. Friction occurred from this interaction that was very uncomfortable for all consciousness in the Sirius system. The Elders of Sirius finally intervened. It was decided that the conflict would once again be moved to another locale. This time, integration would be attempted from a slightly less polarized perspective. The Elders sought out a home for this conflict. It did not take them long to discover the electromagnetic properties of the area called Orion. Thus the myth begins of how Sirius, the dog star, leads the way for the hunter Orion. Once the initial conflict was removed from the Sirius system, the physical civilization remained. They had cut themselves off from spirit even to the point of death, where an immediate reincarnation into the system occurred again, further alienating them from any form of non-physical existence. Therefore, most of the negative society was unaware of the conflict, and so they could not be made aware of its movement into the Orion system. Their society continued within its haze of forgetfulness. Those desiring the negative-positive integration now went to Orion from Lyra Vega instead of to Sirius. Sometimes, very infrequently, a soul would awaken from the negative Sirius world and progress to the Orion arena. From the positive, non-physical, Sirius perspective, they would now be able to directly influence the alien negatives. Many joyously ventured to Orion to carry out their task. Others chose to remain within the Sirius realm, concentrating their healing abilities toward other goals. Other positives from Lyra joined the Orion struggle. Galactic history was born. Because of the positive Sirians' desire to facilitate physical healing, their service to physicality instead of choosing incarnation, they allied themselves with the energies of Arcturus. Arcturus is oriented toward the idea of emotional healing. Together they form the Sirius-Arcturus matrix. This matrix has found its way onto nearly every physical planet within the galactic family as a holistic energy representing the healing of body, mind, and spirit. Planet Earth has known the Sirius-Arcturus matrix in many forms. It is an archetypal energy that is used by an individual or society for many purposes. It is malleable and can be shaped into any appropriate definition. Whatever the shape, it is devoted to the service of physicality. The Sirius-Arcturus matrix reminds the fragment of their connection to the whole and their natural ability for self-healing. Though it is only a small percentage, a group of positive Sirians decided to incarnate into physicality as well. However, they rejected the humanoid form for a form that is more representative of their nature, and this form is the cetacean. Dolphins and whales represent a translation of Sirius energy upon a physical, polarized world. In archetypical symbology, water represents the subconscious. Cetaceans are there silently in Earth ocean and in the sea of humanity's subconscious. They remain as a reminder of humanity's potential for integration. Of all the energies that are part of the immediate galactic family, the Sirius energy is the most widely used upon Earth. The name Sirius means the sparkling one, or the scorching one, also called the dog star and the Nile star, perhaps because it is the brightest and the second nearest star visible to Earth, 8.7 light-years away. Many ancient cultures recognize the importance of the Sirius energy, most notably the Egyptians. At times, Sirius consciousness may choose to densify its frequency to become visible to third-density humans. During many of the Egyptian dynasties, it was quite common to have a visitation from a Sirian in the disguise of one of their gods, such as Isis, Osiris, and Anubis. These costumes made it easier for the Egyptians to honor their presence, and often the visitations triggered memories of the very early days when the gods walked openly upon Earth. These Sirians gave the Egyptians, as well as other Egyptian culture, much advanced astronomical and medical information. Even today, scholars are still questioning the origin of this information. Halfway across the globe, the Mayan culture had its own unique relationship with Sirius. Advanced medical practices and galactic astronomical information were imparted to them that presently have not been unraveled by modern scholars. Theirs was a much more personal relationship with Sirius. These Mayans were, in a sense, tourists from the Sirius realm, incarnating here on Earth, who wanted to experience physicality from a closer vantage point. Their relationship with the Mayans was so intimate that the Sirians actually shared with them the technology of transmutation, from matter to pure energy consciousness. When their lessons were complete, the masters of the Mayan race vanished or transmuted, leaving behind a trail for humanity to follow. These Sirians left behind many time capsules and puzzles for future generations to discover, and one of these puzzles is the crystal skull. The crystal skull can represent the infinite nature of man and consciousness. Looking into its depth, one can sense the past and future. Humans have not yet learned how to translate the data and emotions that are triggered when one gazes into its expanse. Perhaps one day information encoded within the skull may ignite sparks of memory within humanity, as the Sirians have possibly intended. They are one of the primary groups who in many forms have left the clues about Earth past. It is important to note that the Sirians are not meant to be spoken about as a group of extraterrestrials, as much as a group consciousness expressing itself both physically and non-physically. They have been a guiding force for the developing civilization upon Earth, as well as be explored in later chapters. They are one of the primary characters in the creation of the human species on Earth. Returning now to the negative Sirius planets, Earth has an analogous translation of its philosophy. The practice that is called black magic or the dark arts is rooted in the philosophy of the negative Sirians. Within the Egyptian culture, the organized worship of the negative force took place within the temples and priesthoods of Set. This philosophy rejects the idea of re-inclusion into the universal fabric. Those that practice this philosophy consider themselves unique, separate, and egocentric. The illusion that they have created is one of non-responsibility for their actions. It often takes them many lessons and sometimes many lifetimes to recognize that their action and their beliefs create the very reality from which they are trying to escape. In translation, another manifestation of the Sirius influence on Earth from a slightly negative perspective is the Illuminati. The Illuminati are a group of physical and non-physical, negatively oriented, and even some positively oriented extraterrestrials who came to Earth as physical beings during the inception. These beings eventually felt they did not get the recognition or power that they thought they deserved. Many of these early off-planet consciousness who interacted with humanity had allowed their energies or their histories to evolve and become an archetype to assist the Earth. The idea of control is their identity. If they cannot control others, they feel as if they do not exist, and they are terrified of non-existence. This motivation has caused them to attempt to interfere in Earth development from the start. As with an annoying insect, they are a bother but rarely cause serious problems. Only the individuals who have no sense of their own power will be found in these power structures upon Earth that stem from fear of powerlessness. They cannot be an influence if one doesn't allow them to be so. It all comes back to the issue of claiming one's own power. One final idea concerning contemporary manifestations of the Sirius energy has to do with the appearance of menacing extraterrestrials as seen in UFO literature. For the most part, severely negative UFO experiences, cattle mutilation, and the Men in Black phenomena are connected to the negative Sirius and Orion group who actually generate more fear than damage. At times, the physical Sirians and Orions can break through the layers of protection in the solar system and try to wreak havoc. So what is their motivation? In exploring the ancient Sumerian texts concerning early history and the nature of the conflicts of the god, one gets a clear idea that Earth, in whole or in part, was involved with issues of territorial dispute by various groups at different times. The question has often been asked why the Sirians seem to be so involved in the Earth's development. If it is indeed true that Sirius is a trinary star group, as the Dogon tribe astronomical tradition suggests, could it be that Sol, or Earth's sun, is or once was the third star? If that is the case, Earth may have been part of a territorial dispute among the Sirians from its very inception. This could explain why the negative Sirians consider it to be their right to do as they wish on Earth, and why they point an accusing finger at other extraterrestrials for wrongly interfering with Sirian internal affairs, thus creating many historical disputes. The Sirians may consider Earth to be part of their territory. In present time, the Sun is only 8.7 light-years away from the Sirius system, which has been considered by astronomers to be part of our local star family. Many of the early Sirians were quite adept at genetic engineering. During the Earth inception, the physical Sirians placed a latent DNA code within the early humans. When Earth beings reach a certain vibratory frequency as a race, this code will be triggered. This code will assist those on Earth in remembering humanity's galaxies past. Contemporary negative Sirians are terrified of this. They have continually kept themselves from transitioning into fourth density for fear of non-existence. They fear that if Earth transitions, they will transition also and cease to exist. They believe that if they keep society in fear, Earth will not be able to make the shift, and as a whole they cannot determine humanity's fate. For Earth humans have more power than the negative Sirians realize, but they will continue, they know no other way. Whether dealing with physical extraterrestrials or archetypical energy, the Sirian identity is entwined with humanity's. It is rich with knowledge as well as challenge. One must always remember Sirius as the triad and what it represents: integration of polarity, which is the destiny of Earth.